Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My mom and I got into an argument. I left. I never saw my mom again. My dad told me he had her taken away to a mental institution.
Ellie claims her father told her her mother had died and her body had been cremated. He's already changed the story to the police and to you. Something has happened here. I don't like what I'm seeing. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, today we're talking about a mother's mysterious disappearance and her daughter's desperate search for answers. Now, 20-year-old Ellie Green says in June of 2019, her mother, Angela, vanished. Ellie claims her father explained her mother's absence by telling her that her mother had been taken away and put in a mental hospital. After a month passed, Ellie claims her father told her even more devastating news. He said her mother had died of a stroke while in the hospital, and her body had been cremated. Ellie was, of course, heartbroken, but even more confused, and then suspicious. She says when she went searching for her mother's death certificate, there was none to be found. She says it just simply did not exist.
A mystery that has unfolded over months and months. June 19th, Angela Green is seen for the last time in her Prairie Village neighborhood.
Police searched 2 areas today in connection with the disappearance of a Prairie Village woman who has not been seen since June of last year, but Angela Green was not reported missing until last month.
Crews from several metro agencies gathered very early this morning to look for evidence in the disappearance of 51-year-old Angela Green. They searched a body of water 15 miles away from where Green went missing.
Green has lived at this home with her husband for nearly 20 years. One neighbor said he never really saw Green leave the home, but would see her outside gardening.
Today, we could be one step closer to finding answers as investigators begin literally digging for clues.
Police have been out here at Angela Green's house since 7 o'clock this morning. They have crime scene tape surrounding the entire house where she lived. They also have this entire portion of the road blocked off.
Investigators spent a lot of time in the backyard of the home, and we saw them carrying rakes, gloves, buckets, and evidence bags. They also searched a car under a tarp in the driveway.
Police tell us right now they're getting conflicting statements regarding what happened to Angela Green, which they say is concerning.
I don't want to sound like a cliche, but you don't think it's going to happen in your neighborhood. I mean, it's like a Dateline episode, you know? Where is she?
One police officer, he mentioned to us that he's been working with the Prairie Village Police Department for 19 years and said he has never seen a case like this one.
Well, Ellie claims as time passed and she continued to pressure her father for details, his story drastically changed.
In June of 2019, my mom and I got into an argument. I left. I never saw my mom again. My dad told me a few days after I left that he had her taken away to a mental institution, and he didn't want me visiting her until he thought that she was doing better. July 16th, my dad told me Angela died of a stroke. My dad never said Angela. With me, it would just be Mom always. So that was strange. He also told me not to tell her family about her condition. And then in February, I called my Aunt Catherine. The first thing she asked me was, why didn't Jeff tell us? My mom's family asked me to go check and see if there was a death certificate. I went to Topeka, and there wasn't a death certificate, like any record of anything in the state of Kansas. And my heart just sank. I confronted my dad, and he said, it might have been Kansas or Missouri, I don't remember. I said, like, how do you not remember where your wife died? I just thought he was lying at that point. My cousin Michelle requested a welfare check. The police asked my dad where Mom was, and his response was that she had gone out partying with friends. And I was like, are you kidding me? My dad got a lawyer. I don't know why my dad would even get a lawyer if you're innocent. Why would you just not go to the police and help them look for her? The police carried out a couple of search warrants. It was just like a scene out of a movie where my house is covered in like crime scene tape. I'm really afraid that her last moments on earth were really terrible. I miss my mom so much. I miss her voice. I wish that we had so much more time. I want to know where she is.
Well, Ellie, I'm glad to meet you, but I'm very sorry for the circumstance.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you believe that your mother is alive, or do you think she's dead?
No, I definitely believe that she's no longer alive.
And do you think that your father has killed her?
I think that he's involved in some way, yes. I don't think that he hired anyone. Could have been a fight, could have been an accident. There are so many possibilities, and I don't even know.
Well, let's talk about what you are sure of. You were living at home, right?
Yes.
And you and your mother had a falling out.
Yes.
You guys had an argument, and that was not unusual.
No. Teenage, mother-daughter.
Yeah. Nothing particularly unusual. And so she said, you know, if you're going to be that way, just get out. You expected that this would blow over and you guys would patch it up.
See her the next day, see her a few hours later, yeah.
It'd be okay. Mm-hmm. But that never happened because you never got the chance to talk to her again.
Right.
And that's got to be difficult that the last words that you had with her were contentious.
Definitely.
This happened on what day?
The last day I saw her was June 20th.
And then the next communication you had was from your father.
Yes.
He sent a text and said, we have to talk about Mom.
He did say that, yeah, like the next day, right.
And you were not really ready to speak to your parents at that point. You didn't want to engage at that point. He sent a text on the 23rd and said, M is getting mental health care, and I'm at home beginning to organize. Come home at any time, front door is open. I'm going to need help going through Mom's things. I have to tell you, a chill went down my spine when I read those words. That's almost like speaking about them in the past tense to me. Did it have that effect on you?
Yep. Because I was confused, and I asked him if she was coming back, and he said that he didn't want her back until she was better and wouldn't act the way that she did.
Coming up, Ellie recorded several phone calls that she had with her dad about all of this, just begging for answers about what happened to her mother. Now, we're going to play some of them for you next.
He said that he'd gotten this phone call at work from the hospital. Again, didn't know what doctor, didn't know what hospital. And then said he was too busy to stop working.
Your wife, who you've had committed to a mental hospital, just died. And he said, oh, I'm too busy to talk right now?
Yeah, and he didn't excuse himself from work. Right.
And later, you also claimed that your dad asked you to forge your mom's name on a life insurance policy.
He told me it was a retirement benefit document.
And that turned out to be a life insurance policy?
Yep.
And who was the beneficiary?
In one of the phone calls, I asked where Mom's ashes were. He said that he had gotten an urn from a man back in September of 2019, and he didn't ask where he was from or what his name was or anything, and he just paid $1,500 for her ashes, and then he put it up on the shelf.
And where are the ashes at now?
Well, that's the other thing. I got the urn back, and I didn't check it until just this past weekend, and I thought, should I open the urn, so I finally did. I opened it up, and it's empty, so there were no ashes in it.
I don't want a relationship with him unless he tells me where Mom is. Now I feel like I've lost both of my parents.
Well, in June of 2019, Ellie says her father, Jeff, claimed her mom was taken away from a grocery store parking lot and put in a mental health facility where she later died. Now, Ellie claims he later completely changed his story. Okay, so he tells you this story, and you said, well, okay, where is she? I want to talk to her. And he couldn't remember. And this is very expensive. When you go to a mental hospital, it can be anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a month and up. So how was it paid for?
Covered by insurance.
Well, so
That's what he said.
The insurance records would be available then, right? Have you checked the insurance records?
There's no record of him paying that or having them pay that either.
Okay, and then he said, Mom had a stroke, but she's okay.
He said the doctors went in to check on her the night before, and she was okay, and then they went in to check on her the next day, and she was gone.
Okay, just died in her bed.
Yeah, essentially. He said that he'd gotten this phone call at work from the hospital. Again, didn't know what doctor, didn't know what hospital. And then said he was too busy to stop working and go help, so.
Your wife, who you've had committed to a mental hospital, just died. And he said, oh, I'm too busy to talk right now?
Yeah, and he didn't excuse himself from work, right.
Okay, and he didn't go down to take care of her remains or take her to a funeral home or anything of the sort?
He said he went there after work.
But he doesn't remember where that was.
But he doesn't remember where it was, so.
Her ashes were delivered later.
Right.
By someone he didn't know.
Yeah.
And they just handed him an urn, said, here you go, and he gave him $1,500.
Sounds about right.
Cash.
Cash.
So no check, no receipt.
Right, he doesn't, this
No
whole thing, he
documentation.
doesn't have like a paper trail anywhere.
So you Googled urns, right? You went to Google, the search engine Google, and you put in what?
Put in red urn.
And that very one came up.
Oh yeah. Red is my mom's favorite color, so.
So at this point, the absurdity is kind of overwhelming you. You ask him about some of these things on the phone, right? And I'd like to listen to a phone call where you ask him straight up, did you hurt my mother? And here's a phone conversation Ellie recorded with her dad.
What about the story you told me about, like, taking her from a parking lot and...
Well, I didn't want you to think that she had run off with some stranger to do something, and I thought it would be,
Well, Dad, you know I want the truth.
Yeah, and the truth is that she kind of disappeared. I didn't want you to think that she'd, run off and gone somewhere, so.
Did you hurt Mom?
No. No, I wanted to get her help with the doctor to find out what the issues could be that she had that could get taken care of through talking to a psychiatrist, or I was thinking it was more of a medical thing.
I hope you're telling the truth, and I just want to know the truth. As bad as it is, it stresses everybody out, so Just tell me as soon as possible. It's so not fair. You know I'm her daughter. She loves me. She would want me to know the truth. So I don't want any fabrication of stories anymore. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Even if you're trying to protect me, just tell me the truth.
Yes, I will.
I love you, Dad.
I love you too.
So his logic was it would be easier to tell you she's dead than she left him.
I feel like it's way worse to tell somebody that your mom's dead than to say that she ran off from this family.
And then the thing that really bothered me a lot is, I want you to tell me the truth. And I wrote these words down.
I will.
I will. Words are important to me that suggested to me that he hasn't yet. Coming up, Ellie says when she went to her father's new home, she saw a pile of dirt there. She believes that it resembles a grave. We'll discuss that next.
Where do you think she is, or like what do you think happened?
I think she met someone and she gone off.
Is she like remarried or anything?
Oh no, I don't know about that.
Do you still want to find her?
I would like to have somebody contact her, whether it's one of us or somebody else, to know that she's okay. But I don't know that I'm going to go out actively looking, mainly because I don't know where to go look.
This is my dad's house that he purchased in Lawrence. There is a tarp that's covering a good amount of ground. There's a bunch of dirt on it with my mom's favorite flowers and hostas in the backyard. Kind of weird, don't know what that is. And this is also the last place where I saw my dad in person to this day.
Ellie claims that in the months after she was told her mother had died in a hospital, her father purchased a new home in Lawrence, Kansas. Now, she claims she went there and she saw something in the backyard that scared her. What'd you think when you saw that?
I mean, my mind goes to the worst possible thing. So I freaked out. It could be nothing. It could just be some dirt that he put there, but it's weird.
Despite Ellie's father now telling her that her mother wasn't dead and that she actually might have just run off, Ellie says she still didn't feel that she could pin down a straight answer from him about what happened. Listen to this conversation.
Then when was the last time you saw Mom?
Gosh, I don't know. I didn't write it down.
How many days after I was kicked out did she leave? Or like was it hours or a day?
I remember everything about you getting kicked out, but as far as what day it was, I don't know. I'll have to see if I can jog my memory as far as what day it was.
The day that I was kicked out was June 19th. So did she run away that night, or did she run away like the next day?
It was later than that because, I don't know, it was later than that.
Was it in July?
I'm trying to remember whether it was before July 4th or after July 4th. Because that's a date that's important to
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'd have to think about all of it. It was somewhere around there.
Did she take anything with her? Like, her purse? The black one that she has?
No, I don't know what she took with her.
Is that still at home? Because, we went through her things. So she just slammed the door and left?
She left while I was at work. I don't know what she left with.
So she left, and you don't remember which day she left while you were at work?
No, that's the busiest time of the year for me at work.
Okay, so on July 4th, your mother always put out an American flag on the island out in front of your house, right? And the flag was raised, right, according to your neighbors. So either she raised it or he went out there and raised it.
You may have raised it to make it look like she did that.
Neighbors also say that your mother was very meticulous about the lawn and that space out there, and it had started to become very unkept.
Right.
So, like, she wasn't around to take care of it. And I want to say that, according to what I understand, your dad at this point is not a suspect. He's not been named as a suspect. He's not been named as a person of interest.
He's not.
So the police haven't targeted him in any way. And we reached out to both Ellie's father and his criminal defense attorney to invite them to appear here and be part of this discussion or to make a statement. And we did not receive a response by tape time. He adamantly denies having anything to do with her disappearance. Now, have the police searched this pile of dirt in the back? They haven't searched that yet? Have they had any cadaver dogs out there?
Not at the Lawrence house now.
You also claim that your dad asked you to forge your mom's name on a life insurance policy.
He told me it was a retirement benefit document.
And that turned out to be a life insurance policy?
Yep.
And who was the beneficiary?
He was.
When he's telling you there that he got a call saying she was dead, that was a lie within a lie. How are you not just going insane with him lying to you about this? When Ellie asked her father why he told her Angela had died and that he had her ashes in an urn, if he actually believed that she ran away, which well, this was his answer.
Has your story about Mom changed anymore?
No.
Because first it was, she's dead, and then now it's she's disappeared, so...
Yeah, because I got a call that she had passed away, so...
But you can't tell me anything about that call, or who called you, or where, or anything.
No, because I was very busy at that particular point in time, so I didn't worry about it because I knew that information would come in different ways.
But you excuse yourself from work. Like, whenever I call you, you excuse yourself from work.
Well, it depends on what's going on. Most of the time, there's not a...
But it's like Mom's dead. Why would you not excuse yourself from work? You would go into the other room and you'd talk to me. And somebody doesn't just show up to your house with an urn. And I know you, and you're not going to agree to pay $1,500 in cash. Like, you will ask all the questions that you can before you hand over any amount of money.
Well, it was...
You can say that you are emotionally whatever in a place of turmoil and grief and whatever, but you would still ask all the questions that you needed to.
No, not necessarily.
But I don't believe your stories.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, other than I hope that some information comes in the future here to...
Well, you have more information. You're just not telling me.
I don't have any more information.
Like, in what world would you tell your daughter that her mom died when she really ran off?
That's the information I had. I wanted to get it to you before somebody else came with it to you.
Well,
Because then what would you say?
You gave me that information.
Why didn't you tell me, Dad?
You gave me that information July 16th, after you had plenty of time. You have never been actually able to tell me what happened after I was kicked out of the house in that 4-day period of time.
Wasn't much different than the weeks before, so I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know whether she's dead or alive, or ran away, was killed. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure it out.
I don't know either, other than I'm thinking at the moment that she's run away, and I'm hoping that she's alive.
Okay, now I'm a little confused here, and maybe you can fill in some of the blanks here. Because he told you, okay, they didn't take her away from the parking lot to the hospital, which means the fact that she died in the hospital is a lie, because the fact that she ever went to a hospital is a lie.
Right.
So when he's telling you there that he got a call saying she was dead, that was a lie within a lie.
Right.
because he's admitted that she never went to the hospital. What was the date on that phone call?
February 24th.
So by then, he's already changed the story to the police and to you.
Yes.
How are you not just going insane with him lying to you about this when you're on the phone with him? He's said
I am. I just try to keep myself as composed as possible.
Coming up, Ellie claims her father told her not to tell her mother's family about her death. But, of course, she did. Ellie's cousin joins us next. She says that right away she felt the story didn't add up. That's next.
At least once we have a death certificate, we can figure out the day that she died, how she died, possibly where she died, who signed off on her death, and then we can go from there. And so Ellie went to go look for a death certificate for her mom.
And of course, none existed.
This is my childhood home. This is the last place where I saw my mother. She wasn't happy with me at the time and told me to leave, so I backed out of my driveway here. When I look at my house today, it's really eerie. Like, I have an eerie feeling about it, and it's pretty sad. I definitely still remember the good moments that I've had here, but I do have a very clear break of the last time that I saw my mom.
Ellie claims she initially believed her father, Jeff, when he told her that her mother had passed away at the age of 51 from a stroke. She believed him because it's her father. I mean, she trusted him. She had no reason not to trust him. But Ellie claims her dad instructed her not to tell her mother's family about the death. And eventually she did. Ellie's cousin, Michelle, is an attorney in New York, and she joins us today virtually. How did you find out about your Aunt Angela's disappearance and apparent death, or whatever it might be?
So on February 13th, I had just gotten home from work, and I gave my mom a call, and my mom said, "Wait, hold on, sorry. Ellie's on the other line right now. She told me that her mom is dead." And she was like, so apparently Angela died in July of last year of a stroke, but her dad wouldn't let her tell us, but she decided to tell us. And I don't know what's going on. Can you speak with Ellie, please? Because my mom was just in such shock. So I said, yeah, sure. And then that's when I called Ellie, and we started going into a little more detail, and I was asking her all the questions that I think you were asking, and just kind of, okay, well, where did she die? And Ellie was like, I'm not sure. My dad won't tell me. I said, well, how did she die? And then she said, my dad told me that he died of a stroke. And I was like, well, you do know that we don't have a history of strokes in our family. And she was very healthy, and she was still pretty young. So that was pretty strange. And so this is when all these red flags started coming up. And I said, okay, since Ellie wasn't told anything by her father and she didn't have any answers to these questions, I was like, do you have a death certificate then? Because then at least once we have a death certificate, we can figure out the day that she died, how she died, possibly where she died, who signed off on her death, and then we can go from there. And so then that's why the next day, Ellie went to go look for a death certificate for her mom.
And of course, none existed. And she's been gone now for over a year. No credit card transactions, no bank transactions, she hasn't rented a car, hasn't spent any money, hasn't hit the radar, hasn't been anywhere. So it just seems to me a very odd situation for him to just say, I just don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, of course. I think every single phone call that Ellie had, I told her, you have to record it. And then afterwards, Ellie would send me the recording, and I would just transcribe every single word. So that's when we started kind of going in circles and just trying to figure out the answers to these questions and try to piece together, maybe to see if there was a fragment of truth in between all these different lies and all these different stories. And just nothing made sense, and nothing makes sense now either.
Coming up, Ellie files a missing persons report and police begin an investigation. We'll tell you what they found when we come back.
Do you have a gut feeling whether she's alive or dead?
At this point, no, it's 50-50. I don't know what's going on yet.
You got a lawyer, right?
Yes.
To protect yourself?
I got the lawyer because I don't know what to say to the police. I don't know what the police are thinking and whether they think that I'm somebody that can help and they want to talk to me to get some helpful ideas, or whether they want to talk to me because I'm the prime suspect and they know that something terrible has happened and none of the rest of us do. I don't know. So that's why I have an attorney.
Well, Ellie says before her mom disappeared, they used to enjoy watching Dr. Phil together. We want to help Ellie find answers, so we brought in an investigative team that we have worked with before. Former Detective Mike King of Profiling Evil and his partner hit the ground running.
I was contacted by Dr. Phil to look into this missing persons case of Angela Green. I'm a retired police investigator, and with Chris McDonough, also retired law enforcement, we have investigated missing persons all across the country. In order to understand the case, we had to sit down with Ellie and get an idea of the timeline and the elements. So July 16th, he says she died. Then you got different stories later, correct?
Lots of different stories later, yeah.
Have you come right out and asked your dad, did you hurt Mom?
Yes.
And what did he say?
No. Very strong, no.
There were so many things about this case that threw red flags up. Some of the red flags had to do with the changing stories that she was receiving from her father. Ellie shared a number of phone conversations that she had with her father, and they were so contradictory in nature that we had to look deeper into those as well.
I'm not lying about anything, number one.
You did lie to me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
About
the whole mental hospital thing.
It's troubling that Ellie's dad made up a series of stories. He outright lied. Another red flag to us was her father asking her not to share with family that she had died. This made no sense to us. The scenarios seem to boil down to two things. One is that there was an accident or attempt at Angela's life, or that she truly did leave. Behaviorally, the latter makes less sense. She had no financial means, no credit cards, no debit cards. She wouldn't have left for more than 500 days without reaching out to her most prized possession, Ellie.
Well, Mike is here, and his partner at Profiling Evil, Chris McDonough, joins us virtually. Mike, Chris, thank you both for being here. What do you guys make of this?
Well, I'll tell you, we were intrigued and disturbed by a number of things, not only these evolving stories, but some of the physical and circumstantial and most importantly, the behavioral evidence that was starting to roll out as we looked at this.
Right.
You know, Dr. Phil, I think some of the things that you've pointed out right on target, his behavioral evidence all seem to be deflective away from himself, just about every phone call.
I don't like what I'm seeing. Something has happened here. Are there some things that have turned up now that lead-wise that the police didn't have that they now have? Will this maybe move forward investigation-wise?
We hope so. We were able to uncover some things that were so compelling that Chris and I felt it was important to immediately notify law enforcement. So we reached out, we shared it. The two things were things that they were not aware of, and thankfully they're looking at those. We hope that they're moving quickly on them.
Okay, and what kind of evidence are we talking about?
There's physical evidence. I think there's some behavioral evidence that's really intriguing, especially when we start looking at this victimology or the what would be normal behavior for Angela.
Now, we just spoke to the Prairie Village Police Department, and they gave us an updated statement. They say, we have received conflicting information regarding Angela's whereabouts that are concerning. We are still in the fact-finding stage, and this might shift from a missing person case to a criminal investigation. We are looking for help from the community. The case is going dormant, and we aren't going to forget about Angela Green. Now, Mike, you say the police ask you to keep certain leads off the record to preserve the investigation, and I'm certainly not going to ask you to violate any of those things, but do we have some information now that might break this case open?
I think if the information proves to be credible, it could really change the outlook of things.
Are we talking about enough that could get a search warrant where, for example, the Lawrence house, where she's seen the mound of dirt, is this enough that a court would grant a search warrant and find out if there's something there?
Yeah, it would certainly be enough compelling information that, as Chris and I looked it over, we'd say we'd be pounding on a judge's door pretty quickly.
Michelle, from an attorney's standpoint, I would think there would certainly be a critical mass of evidence here that would be enough cause to move this case forward, get a search warrant, and look for anything that would give some information about her whereabouts. I think a judge would be compelled to want to grant a search warrant in this, don't you think?
I think at this point, because they've gotten a chance to get more information, and I know that they originally had tried to request a search warrant for the Lawrence property, but it was denied because the judge stated that the gap between when Angela went missing and when he purchased the property in November of 2019 was too large of a gap to amount to any sort of probable cause. But I think as more information unravels and as we get more tips and leads, and we have people like Mike working on this and telling the police information that they've learned, I think that definitely amounts to more probable cause chances.
Well, when we come back, I'm going to answer a question that's probably in all of your heads right now, which is, what the hell are police thinking? And with everything that we've talked about here, why have they not been more proactive? I'll address that, at least in my opinion, when we come back. Well, I'm back with Ellie, daughter, and Michelle, a niece here, that are really in a tough situation because a family member is missing. And there's been so much convoluted explanation, no explanation, contradictions about where she might be, that it's just really, really difficult. It behooves authorities to really take their time, really do their homework and get things right. Right, Mike?
Absolutely. They have to look at this in totality and move at a pace. They've got so much evidence that they're processing. I'm sure of it. I have great faith in law enforcement and their capabilities.
So at this point, we have to let the wheels of justice turn and let the investigation proceed. Your mother would be very proud if she was here to talk to you right now that you're standing up for her and banging the drum here. I would like to thank Ellie for sharing her story. I know she's not in an easy position as she loves both her mother and her father. It's got to be a real position of conflict. I also want to thank her cousin Michelle for her insight, as well as Mike King and Chris Madonna of Profiling Evil for their work on the case. You can check out Mike's book, Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult, which will be out soon. And let me tell you, you want to read this. It's chilling and compelling at the same time. And the Profiling Evil channel on YouTube is something you want to start tuning into early in the evening, because you will find it hard to tune away from. Next thing you know, it's like, damn, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We will not be letting this go, trust me, and we hope that there is some movement in the case soon. If you have any information on Angela Green's disappearance, please call the Prairie Village Police Department at 913-642-6868 or Crime Stoppers Tips Hotline at 816-474-8477. For more information about today's show, you can log on to drphil.com. There will be a lot of conversation about this on Facebook later today. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
My mom is an amazing person. She came to the U.S. from China in her 20s. She basically just poured her life into me and did whatever she could for me. She wrote these little notes that she put in my lunch every day. She would sew all of my clothes and stay up all night fixing my prom dress. I love her a lot, so I think that she deserves a lot more than just to be brushed under the rug. I'm so thankful that Dr. Phil is helping me out, and I actually feel like something might come of it. Yeah, so I want to thank him so much.